The moment before impact. June 6, 1944. 5:58 hours. Normandy coast. German-occupied France. The sea is black and restless, slapping against steel hulls with dull, hollow thuds. Engines idle low, vibrating through the decks of the landing craft. Men stand shoulder to shoulder, rifles clenched, helmets pulled down tight. Someone mutters a prayer. Someone else retches quietly over the side. Then the sky begins to glow. A distant rumble rolls in from the horizon. Low at first, then building. Naval guns. Big ones. The sound crawls across the water and sinks into the bones. The first shells scream overhead, ripping the dark apart, and the coastline erupts in flashes of white and orange. Bunkers vanish in clouds of sand and smoke. The earth itself seems to recoil. On the cliffs above, German sentries stumble from their posts, half-dressed, boots unlaced. Telephones ring unanswered. Orders collide with each other in the darkness. This isn't supposed to be happening like this. Not today. Not here. Down below, ramps slam open. Cold water surges in as men pour out, boots disappearing beneath the surf. Machine gun fire snaps to life from the bluffs, stitching the waves with deadly precision. Bodies drop. Equipment sinks. The beach becomes chaos in seconds, shattered obstacles, burning vehicles. Screams swallowed by artillery thunder. From a command ship offshore, an Allied general watches through binoculars, jaw tight, expression unreadable. He doesn't flinch when reports come in. Heavy resistance, units pinned, casualties mounting. This was expected. All of it was expected. Because this moment, this precise collision of fire, fear, and confusion, was part of the plan. Weeks earlier, in a quiet room thick with cigarette smoke and maps spread wall to wall, he had traced his finger along this very coastline. He had seen the cliffs, the strong points, the kill zones. He had listened as others called it impossible. Too heavily defended. Too obvious. A slaughter waiting to happen. He had nodded. Let them think that. Now, as German artillery fires blindly into smoke and shadow, something begins to crack in their defenses. Units hesitate, unsure whether this is a main assault or a feint. Orders from higher command don't come. Communications lines lie shredded beneath bombardment. Assumptions, carefully built over years, start to collapse under the weight of reality. On the beach, a young lieutenant presses himself into the sand, bullets snapping inches overhead. He looks up, expecting death. Instead, he sees something unexpected. Enemy fire shifting away, pulled toward another sector. A gap, small, temporary, but real. He shouts. Men move. Inch by bloody inch, the line crawls forward. Above them, clouds part just long enough for Allied fighters to dive, rockets streaking toward gun emplacements that should have been untouchable. German officers shout conflicting commands. Reserves wait for orders that never arrive. And somewhere behind the front, far from the noise and the smoke, the Allied commander checks his watch. The clock is ticking exactly as planned. The cracks in the wall. Inland, just beyond the dunes, the German defensive grid begins to unravel. Not with an explosion, but with silence. Field telephones hang dead on their lines. Runners sprint between command posts, boots kicking up sand, carrying messages already outdated by the time they arrive. The Atlantic wall, once thought impenetrable, is suddenly blind and deaf. Strong points that were meant to support one another now fight alone. Each commander convinced he is holding against the main blow. He isn't. At a regimental headquarters dug into chalky earth, a German colonel studies his map, brow furrowed. Reports contradict each other. Landings here. Paratroopers there. Naval fire everywhere. The scale makes no sense. This cannot be the invasion. Not without the armor reserves. Not without the Luftwaffe. This must be another Allied trick. Another probe. That belief had been carefully planted. For months, Allied deception units had fed Berlin a story it wanted to hear. Fake radio traffic, inflatable tanks, phantom divisions in England, all pointed toward Pas-de-Calais. Even now, German high command waits for the real invasion to begin there. Orders go out. Hold armor in reserve. Do not commit panzer divisions without authorization. Authorization that never comes. Back on the beach, The fight is turning brutal and personal. A U.S. Army sergeant drags a wounded man behind a steel obstacle, bullets chewing into the sand around them. Smoke hangs low, stinging the eyes, turning the world into a gray blur of shapes and motion. Yet something has changed. The enemy fire is no longer steady. It pulses, starts, stops. German gunners, shaken by bombardment and air attack, fire too high, too fast. Ammunition runs low. Crewmen lie dead at their posts. In one bunker, a single shell collapses the entrance, trapping the survivors inside. Their shouts are swallowed by the roar outside. Further east, British commandos scale cliffs under covering fire, hands bleeding, fingers numb. At the top, they find trenches half-manned, defenders stunned by the suddenness of it all. A flare goes up green. The signal spreads down the line. Openings. Multiple openings. Offshore, the Allied commander receives updates in clipped bursts. Beachhead established. Enemy armor not moving. Air superiority holding. He allows himself a slow breath. The plan depended on speed and hesitation, on convincing the enemy to wait just long enough for waiting to become fatal. You can feel the shift now, even if no one says it aloud. German officers begin to realize the truth too late. This is not a raid, not a diversion. This is the invasion. And it is already past the point where it can be thrown back into the sea. A frantic request finally reaches higher command. Release the panzers. Immediate counterattack required. The reply comes hours later, filtered through layers of confusion and fear. Denied. Wait for confirmation. On the beaches, Allied troops push inland, through hedgerows and shattered villages. Every meter is paid for in blood. But the momentum is there, fragile, hard-won, unstoppable. The plan has worked so far. But the most dangerous moment is still ahead, because now the enemy knows. And when they move, they will move with everything they have. The turning point. Midday heat settles over Normandy, heavy and suffocating. Smoke drifts lazily across fields torn apart by shell fire. The battle has lost its initial chaos and found something worse. Rhythm. Fire answered by fire. Advance, halt, dig in. Men move because they must, not because they believe they can. In a sunken lane bordered by thick hedgerows, an Allied platoon presses forward cautiously. Every corner feels like a trap. German infantry, veterans of the Eastern Front, fight with grim discipline now. Rifles crack from hidden positions. Mortars drop without warning. This is where invasions die, not on beaches, but inland when momentum bleeds away. German armor finally stirs. A Panzer IV rumbles down a narrow road, engine growling, its commander scanning for targets. Behind it, more steel follows. The delay has been costly, but not fatal. Not yet. If these tanks punch through to the coast, they can split the beachhead in half and drive the invaders back into the sea. This was the moment the Allied commander feared most, and prepared for relentlessly. Overhead, the distant hum grows louder. Then it dives. Allied fighter-bombers break through the clouds, sun flashing off wings, rockets screaming toward the road. Explosions tear into the column. One tank burns. Another slews into a ditch. Survivors bail out, only to be cut down by strafing fire. Air superiority, secure at enormous cost, now pays its dividends in seconds. Still, some armor gets through. A British anti-tank crew swings their gun into position, hands shaking as they load. The first round hits low, ricocheting off thick armor. The tank turret turns toward them, slow, deliberate, merciless. The second shot fires. Direct hit. The tank shudders, smoke pouring from its hatches. The crew inside never escapes. Across the front, similar scenes play out. Improvised roadblocks, close-range ambushes. Infantry and armor fighting is won, exactly as planned. The Allies do not seek a sweeping breakthrough yet. They seek survival. Time. Every hour the beachhead holds. It grows stronger. In a farmhouse converted into a forward command post, maps are updated constantly. Pins creep inland. Supply routes stabilize. Engineers clear paths through minefields under fire. Wounded men are evacuated, replaced by fresh units pouring ashore. The German command structure, by contrast, is cracking under pressure. Orders contradict each other. Units arrive piecemeal, thrown into battle without coordination. The moment for a decisive counterstroke has passed, slipping away minute by minute. By late afternoon, the realization becomes unavoidable. The invasion cannot be stopped. A German major writes in his field diary, hands trembling. They are everywhere. The sky belongs to them. The sea belongs to them. It is not defeat, he records, but inevitability. The Allied commander stands outside his headquarters as dusk approaches, listening to the distant thunder of guns. His plan has held, against firepower, against confidence, against certainty. But victory is not yet won, because holding ground is one thing. Breaking out will be another kind of war entirely. The cost of the plan. Night falls unevenly across Normandy, shadows pooling in bomb craters and hedgerows. The firing never truly stops. It only dulls, like a distant storm that refuses to pass. Flares arc into the sky, hanging for a moment before drifting down, turning fields into stark black and white photographs of men frozen mid-movement. On the front line, exhaustion replaces fear. Hands shake from adrenaline spent hours ago. Boots are caked with blood and mud. Impossible to tell where one ends and the other begins. Medics move from body to body, some still breathing, some long gone. There are no speeches, no cheers, only work. The plan worked. But plans never account for faces. A young infantryman sits with his back against a stone wall, helmet off, staring at nothing. His squad is gone, killed or scattered in the chaos of the push inland. He followed orders, advanced when told, took ground measured in meters. Now the silence presses in, and the weight of survival settles heavily on his shoulders. Across the lines, German soldiers feel it too. Cut-off units crouch in ditches, low on ammunition, unsure if relief will come. Officers whisper among themselves, try to impose order on a battlefield that no longer obeys rules. Some talk of counterattacks at dawn. Others know better. Without air cover, without coordination, it will be slaughter. Behind the front, the Allied command grapples with its own crisis, not defeat but of consequence. Casualty lists grow longer by the hour. Beachheads hold, but only just. Supplies pile up on the sand, vulnerable to artillery and weather. One bad storm could undo everything. The commander reviews reports by lamplight, eyes red, fingers stained with ink and dust. Each decision now carries a different weight. He can push harder, risk overextension, or consolidate, giving the enemy time to regroup. The plan gave them this moment, but cannot choose for him now. At midnight, a German artillery barrage crashes down unexpectedly, shells walking across a newly secured position. Men scramble for cover. A direct hit obliterates a machine gun nest. Screams follow. The war is not finished with them yet, but the response is immediate. Counter-battery fire roars back. Allied guns, now firmly ashore, answer with precision. The barrage falters, then stops. Another small proof of how quickly the balance has shifted. As dawn approaches, both sides prepare for what comes next. The Allies dig deeper, stringing wire, sighting weapons, bracing for counterattack. The Germans gather what strength they have left, clinging to the hope that resolve can substitute for resources. The plan has delivered a foothold. What it has not delivered is peace. Because now the war in the West has truly begun, and it will demand far more than a single brilliant idea. The point of no return. June 7th, 1944, 6:30 hours, Normandy, France. Morning light reveals what darkness hid. The fields are scarred beyond recognition. Vehicles lie twisted where they burned out. Bodies, friend and foe, the ground in grim stillness. Smoke rises in thin columns, carried inland by a light breeze from sea. The beachhead is still there. That fact alone changes everything. Allied engineers move with purpose now, throwing down temporary roads, clearing wreckage, waving columns of men and vehicles forward. Tanks grind past infantry who arrived just hours earlier, faces still pale, eyes wide as they take in the cost of what has already been paid. Supplies roll inland in an unbroken stream. The invasion is no longer fragile. It is growing. German commanders know it too. Reports sent overnight confirm the nightmare. Multiple Allied divisions ashore, air cover unchallenged, naval guns ready to answer any mass movement. Requests for reinforcements are met with impossible logistics and empty promises. The reserves that could have changed everything were held too long, waiting for an invasion that never came. The deception has achieved its final victory. In a captured village, Allied officers study maps spread across a table pocked by shrapnel. New objectives are marked: roads to seize, junctions to hold. The war expands outward, step by deliberate step. What began as survival now becomes strategy. Somewhere behind the lines, the commander allows himself a rare moment of reflection. Not satisfaction, not pride, only relief. He had the plan. He trusted it. And in the most violent test imaginable, it held. History will call this a turning point, a bold gamble, a masterstroke. But standing here, amid the smell of smoke and death, it feels less like triumph and more like responsibility. Because every success now demands to be followed by another, because there is no going back. The enemy still fights. The hedgerows will bleed men dry. Cities will burn. Thousands more will die before this war is done. Yet the course has shifted irreversibly. The confidence that nothing could stop them, the enemy's confidence, lies shattered on these fields. And all of it traces back to one decision, one carefully calculated plan, one moment when waiting became fatal. By nightfall, Allied flags will fly over ground once thought unreachable. By winter, the front will be hundreds of miles east. And years from now, when the story is told, it will begin here, at the moment when the impossible succeeded, the moment the war changed direction.